What's up, YouTube? Winterguard here. We're into Diablo 2 Resurrected now. First day is finished. I'm through normal, and what I'm going to do today is give you some tips and tricks on how to get through normal as a sorceress. I'm going to do a series for normal, nightmare, and hell, and probably do each champion. What we're going to do is, this is if you're starting from scratch, no feeding from, a previously level character. This is what you're going to run into as you level, and the easiest ways to get through everything, and show you what I've learned over the years so that you guys can use these tips to level a little less painfully and hopefully get you through the various acts without too many deaths. This is strictly softcore. Hardcore is a whole different animal, and you have to approach it differently. So we're just going to go through softcore leveling, and I'm going to show you items that you should build through runewords, effective ways to shop, and some of the little bit of luck you'll need to make it through without too many hitches. So we're going to do that today, and if you appreciate what I'm doing, give me a like, subscribe, notification bell, all the YouTube things that they want you to do. And let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into this. Now this is going to apply. I'm going to do some general things across all skills, skill branches. I leveled as lightning. All of them are viable in normal. You could play cold, fire, or lightning without very many issues. I think out of the three in normal, lightning is probably a little weaker. I think it really ramps up towards the end, but you get a lot more sustainability in, say, cold, for instance, with the ability to slow. For normal, they're all viable, but I think fire has a little bit of an edge with a specific rune word, and it only applies to fire, even though you can vary it a little bit with the bases, but we'll get into that in a minute. The first thing I want to talk about, gold is your go-to for everything. Not that important at higher levels unless you're gambling or whatnot, but gold at the beginning is very important. So you want to look at picking up specific items that will generate the most gold per space, because you're limited space-wise. If you've played any of the other mods like Project Diablo 2 or Path of Diablo, they open up the spacing so that your character can hold more. But in Diablo 2 Resurrected, you're limited in your spacing. As you can see, there is not much. Those that have always played Diablo from the beginning, they're used to this. But if you're used to the mods, there's limited space. You want to take advantage of items that will give you the most bang for your buck space-wise. What I'm talking about, you want to pick up all the rings, amulets. Class-specific items will normally give you a lot of money, or a lot more money than you would for just generic white, gray, or magic items you'll find on the ground. And what I mean by that, that give plus skills to certain classes, such as the barb helms, the scepters for pallies, staves, wands, orbs. All those things will generate more cash, and they're usually a lot smaller. Especially if you're looking at wands and orbs, always grab those, because those have a huge return on space, because of they usually only take up 2 slots, but they will usually max out on gold. And what I mean by that, in, say, for instance, Act 1, the max you could sell an item for is 5,000 gold, and it goes up by 5k per act. So at the end of Act 5, or in Act 5, you'll be able to max out at 25k sold per item. So it goes 10, 15, 25, 10, 15, 20, 25 per, and it's broken up by act. So when you start off Act 1, the most you can sell an item for is 5,000. So what you want to do is get the most per slot that you could get as you're picking up items. Other good items to pick up that are single space, for instance, are like the fulminating potions, strangling gas, those usually give you a decent amount. I think the fulminating gives you 420, which is pretty good. But if at all possible, grab every ring and amulet you can get, because those will usually give you a lot of cash at the beginning. What you want to do is, for sorceress especially, you want to constantly be stacking mana pots. They don't drop as often as the health pots do, so you want to keep a good stash of mana pots in your inventory. You'll be pushing through those fairly quickly. Your mana pool is not going to be large at the beginning. Okay, let's get into the rune words that will help you level. And these are not going to be available at the beginning. They're, of course, character level restricted. But these are probably the three main ones that you're going to want to use. Some people will take issue with that. There's a couple of other ones that might fall into that, but I don't find them particularly useful, and so we'll cover it, but I don't think they're that useful. So we'll get into these that I use as I'm leveling, and I'll show you them real quick here. So the first one is the armor. Stealth, as you see, require level 17. 2-socket armor, so fairly easy to find the base. You can purchase any 2-socket base just about at the vendors, or they drop fairly often, so you can pick one up just in your encounters as you go. As you see, it adds faster cast rate, which is sorceress or spellcaster specific. The faster run walk, of course, always helpful, and faster hit recovery. This is just a great, awesome general all-around armor that you can get starting at level 17, which should be just into Act 2. So you could get this fairly early. You can shop for the base if you're not finding it. I spent a lot of time at Charcy and Geed just shopping, as you can see here. Bam, right there. Hard leather, 2-socket. Doesn't cost that much. That's what you're looking for. Don't buy 2-socket blue. I don't see one off the top here. This only works in the gray, so make sure when you're shopping that you don't accidentally pick up a magic item with sockets in it and put a rune word. It will not work. This is the item you want, and this is the same. You could go here as well to Geed. There's another. So yeah, it's multiple. Easily found. That's the item you're wanting to make the stealth. And Tal F, easily farmed. If you don't have the runes right out of the gate, just running. Countess is available in Act 1. She will drop up to a Ral rune in normal. So Tal F probably can get that in just a couple of runs, easily gotten. And great all around rune word for your chest, probably into Nightmare. There's other options there, which we'll get into in a different video. Second item, and this is what I was talking about regarding fire in particular. You can make leaf, which is fire specific, and this, if you don't have this as a fire sorceress, you're missing out. Now this one, and I'll show you here in a second, the base is, let me back up. The basic stats for this is the 3 fire skills, that's always there, and then the Inferno, Warmth, and Firebolt is 333. Now you'll see a 5 on mine. It's because I found a base that had extra stats in it. And this is another thing you want to look at, and you can shop the base for this as well. Just a quick tip for base shopping, you want to go back to Act 1. When you get into Act 2 and on, the base, the shopping normally will only give you blue items. That's because as you get into the further acts, the game just, I guess, necessitates that you don't really need white or gray items when it comes to the socketed. So it just tries to feed you blue items with stats on them. So you have to go to Act 1. It's where you'll find the most chance of finding a base with the stats that you're wanting. So let's take a look here. Akara is where you shop for the weapons for your sorceress. And as you see here, and see what I'm saying is the base, like this is not usable, it's only one socket, but it comes with +3 or +2 frozen armor. This will carry into the rune word. So even though the leaf rune word only is +3 Inferno Warmth Firebolt, I had a +1 static +2 Firebolt base. So those added on to the stats from the rune word. And to be truthful, you can really get a pretty godly rune word here just based off the fact that you can get a base, say for instance, that's got +1 all skills or has, you know, +3 firebolt or anything that you might be using beyond these stats, and you could set up, you could come out with a +6 firebolt rune word. This will also factor into your synergies because firebolt is a synergy for, say for instance, you'll probably be using fireball as probably your main through normal. So firebolt is a synergy, 14% more damage per level. So you could have a +6 firebolt rune word, and it just really generates a lot more damage for your main spell. So don't count those out. Let's get back to seeing if she has a +2. Okay, there's one. Now that doesn't necessarily help with that rune word, but I mean you can see that you can shop for one till you get one with, say for instance, like a +2 or +3 firebolt, and add to the rune word stats. So if you don't get what you want, if you don't know this already, you can just go to, say, Cold Plains and come back. And you can go anywhere, it doesn't matter, as long as you leave the camp. This will reset what's available from the vendor. See, this, you don't want to get this. Money, well, the gold, you know, being ridiculous as this item is, that you can't make the rune word in this base. This is a blue magic item. Even though it's got 2 sockets, it will not give you what you need. This one, however, will. See, this is a +1 lightning, but that +1 lightning will be on top of the stats that come with this rune word. So if you're a fire sorceress, I would recommend it, especially if you haven't played sorceress before. I'd go cold or fire before I go lightning. I just did it because I've played this through so many times. I just wanted to mess around with lightning. The spell effects are just amazing in Resurrected, and that is only reason why I did lightning. I just liked how it looked. If I would have wanted to make it easier on myself, I would have played cold or fire. So keep that in mind. Fire is viable. Especially with this, I think it makes it the stronger tree to go down for normal. And let's face it, I mean you could respec after the first quest, so I wouldn't worry too much about what skill tree you go down at first. Whichever one makes you more comfortable. Cold is great for kiting. It's got the slow effect on multiple spells. Fire is just, with this rune word, I think is just way stronger. So this is the direction you want to go. Alright, the last rune word I want to talk about is this one, Ancient's Pledge. Now, if you look, the resists are crazy on this. If you happen to find a great one-hand orb, this is what you want to pair it with. Uh, this and let me back up. I know most people are going to go, well, just use Spirit. Spirit's the one to go with, and it is. It's Spirit is level 25, so you can use it in normal. Here's the thing: you're not going to be able to make it in normal. Not if this is your first playthrough. It's tough. For Nightmare, I would say Spirit all day long. For normal, your first playthrough, you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to make it. It's a 4-socket rune word. The max drop or purchase that you can get in normal is 3-socket. Now you can use the Larzik quest, get a specific base off of higher eye level or higher monster levels. I think it's level 26 or 28 monster level can drop a base that you could then use the Larzik quest on and make the rune word. So a lot of hoops to jump through. I'm talking about a normal playthrough. So we're going to stick with the Ancient's Pledge for that. Again, Spirit by far the best, and you'll probably use that into hell. But for your first time through or second time, it's just a lot of hoops to jump through to try and get a Spirit base. And the same for the weapon. They're both 4-socket. They're awesome rune words. They're just not viable, I don't think, for your first time through normal. So we're going to stick with this. The 3-socket base can be gotten from drop or purchase. I mean, you can purchase this off a vendor. Now it has to be a large shield. This is the lowest eye level shield you can get that will generate 3 sockets. So if you go to the vendors, again, if you want to vendor or purchase bases, you want to probably go to Act 1. Even though you can be in Act 5, you're probably not going to get just a gray item base in Act 5. It's going to be blue. So go back to Act 1 for your shopping. So we're going to use Charcy or Guide. That's the two that you want in Act 1. And bam, right out of the gate. 3-socket base. You're not going to get it in, say, these are max 2. But the large shield will give you 3. And that's where you want to go to make that rune word. And again, it's cheap. It's Rao Ort Tau. Easily farmed from Countess. So easily made. Oh, and the same with this one. It's tier Rao for Leaf. Easily farmed. You can get these runes so quick. Okay, one other one I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to give you the reason why I don't think it's that viable in normal first time playthrough. Again, I want to iterate that. It's first time playthrough. A lot of people say, why not use 2-socket helm for lore? And the reason for that, lore is a great rune word. It's a +1 skill. It's got mana, or a mana after kill. It's got energy. It requires a soul rune, S-O-L, soul rune. So that has extremely rare chance to drop in normal. I think if you go into cows and try and farm it, it's got like a 0.00001 drop rate. Just not a viable option. It's great for Nightmare, and we'll probably show that then when we do the Nightmare playthrough. But for normal, again, that's not going to be a good option. Some people will say Nadir also. I don't like that one just for the stats itself. I don't think they're that great. I don't think it's worth even messing with. You could probably find a rare or even a blue one that you don't have to invest a lot of time in just to do the playthrough. I'm using just a rare helm. I think I might have got that in Act 1. I mean, nothing special, but it's not much worse off than using a Nadir. So for the helm slot, that would have been your other option for a rune word. Just go with what you find. I don't think it's worth investing the time to make the nadir. It's not that great. I'll put up the stats for that, and you can judge for yourself. I don't particularly care for it, so it's up to you guys on that one. I don't think it's worth it. All right, one other thing to touch on, and it actually makes a pretty big difference, is magic find at low level. It's not something you should go out of your way to look for, but if you get an item that has some magic find on it, that doesn't necessarily hurt you to have it, you want to put a little bit of magic find on. It makes an exponential difference in drops. If you ever look, I'll put it up on the screen. If you look at the curve for magic find, at some point you get a lesser return on investment the more magic find you get. But at the initial spike for magic find, how much you have is a big difference. So I'll show you what I got, and this just dropped in just as I was running. I found a pair of gloves that have 25 magic find on them. 25 is a lot, especially in normal. I got really lucky in this, that it's ethereal, but it has repair durability. So this is actually a pretty great item, to be honest with you. 25 magic find is a lot in normal, but it pays off, and I'll show you what I mean by that. These are all drops that I got in normal, just running, not doing any specific magic find, just running through normal. And this, on a side note, I guess they added new items in D2 Resurrected. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Hand of Brock, unique. I don't recognize this. And it seems like I saw another item the same way. No, maybe I'm mistaken. I thought that there was another one that I saw that was might have been specific to D2 Resurrected. Let me know in the comments if this has actually been there the whole time. I don't recognize it. Oh, I know what it was. I'll show you. It's on my Merc. Gray form quilted? Was this there the whole time? I mean, this thing's solid. A little bit of life leech. Pretty neat item. But as you can see, I mean, I even found a Nokazan. Not that great on a caster, but if you were holding items for low leveling another character after you finish your sorceress, some of these items are pretty good. The blood fists are really good. That's actually a really great drop. If you want to put on a melee character later on, or even an Amazon for the IAS on that. But as you can see, I've found a decent amount of uniques and set items just playing through one time through normal. And I attribute that to because I got these early. I want to say I got these in Act 2. So if possible, you want to try and get a little bit of magic find on one item somewhere. It does make a difference. And as the graph shows, there is an initial return on investment that is at the beginning, that's at the highest point. You're going to get some drop off the more magic find you get. There's diminishing returns on magic find the higher you get. So you want to try and find that sweet spot. But in normal, 25 is probably a lot. And if you can get lucky to get that on an item or two without hurting yourself, then by all means, definitely look at that as a viable stat to have on items. Last thing I'm going to touch on is mercenary. Now, again, this is more of a playstyle thing in normal. It doesn't really matter. I've always preferred the Act 2 mercenary. Some people prefer the barbarians from Act 5, the archer. It doesn't really matter. They're not going to be tanky enough to be anything but a little bit of added damage before they die, say in a boss fight, you're not going to be able to get your Act 2 Merc to tank Bale. It's just not going to happen. Regardless of gear, he's going to die, and you're going to have to kite. So what I like about the Act 2 Mercenary specifically is the fact that you get an aura from that. So there's a little bit of a gain for your character. I use now before in previous Diablo, they were broken down offensive, defensive, and combat. Now, I guess technically they're still that way. It doesn't give you that name per se. Used to when you looked at the different ones, it would say like combat, or I forget where it placed it, but it would say combat, defensive, and offensive, and they each had a different aura. I think I use the prayer aura just because of a little extra health regen. The other ones, it depends on the character you're playing, but for sorceress, that's what I use. If the blessed aim one is great if you're using a melee character because of the AR gain, and maybe if you want a little tankier, little more defense, say playing a barb or a pally, you could use the Defiance Merc. But for range characters, I think prayer is the way to go. It just gives you a little extra health regen as you're running. So that's probably the direction to go. Again, it's not going to be able to tank anything beyond, say, some of the boss packs, champ packs. And even then, he's probably still going to get wrecked. So that's probably the best way to go for a caster. I think gear-wise, there's only 3 slots. You could go helm, armor, and weapon. Not a lot of options early on for this mercenary. Well, it's not even going to be until Nightmare where you can get like the insight polearm or insight weapon, which is 4-socket. Again, the same thing as I said before with 4 sockets. Initial playthrough, you're just not going to get it without jumping through hoops. So let's hold off on insight until we get into Nightmare. I didn't think to look. I think there's 2-socket helm runewords you might be able to use. I got lucky with the armor. Even though this is low defense, this is still a great armor for him. Of course, we'll be switching out in Nightmare, but that will be for another video. So that's it for now. I'll put out another one probably next day or so about items to use, runewords to use in Nightmare, and little tips and tricks you might be able to utilize to make leveling a little easier. Normal, this is strictly for beginners. Most veteran Diablo 2 players know this stuff. Some of this maybe not, but if it's helpful, let me know, and we will get into the Nightmare run next. But I appreciate your time, and everybody have a great day and keep on farming.